utopia, utopia Parkway.
Hello, and thank you so much for being here today. And thank you to Molly and Eric for setting up this virtual presentation. I really wish I could be there in person with you today. My name is Clara Gross, and I'm a writer, researcher, and artist. My work centers around design and culture and is motivated by curiosity for understanding the city around me. I started this project with an interest in the way that new cities built from scratch are advertised and communicated to the public. What story about the city and the future is being presented? My thesis focused on the largest possible scale of urban development, but I think there are takeaways for examining how urban futures are being shaped and communicated in the places we already live. Over the past 3 decades, there's been a global movement towards increased urbanization and new city building, with around 110 new cities built or currently under construction worldwide. It's a response to a growing global population, and in many places, cities are strained beyond their capacity. But building a new city is also a business opportunity and a way to experiment with new technology. I see this as being the motivating factor behind many recent North American plans, as we aren't struggling with population growth here. My thesis focuses on one specific plan for a city called Tolosa. First announced last September, Tolosa is a plan to build a new American city from scratch for 5 million people. The city is advertised to address key challenges of climate change and economic inequality by implementing green technologies and sustainable construction, and by using a land endowment model. Here's an aerial view of the proposed city, and all the imagery used in this presentation is from the press package on their website. My research process was in 2 parts: understanding the proposed plan, and on the other hand, how city making actually happens in real places. The research involved image analysis and media analysis, as well as interviews. I spoke with Tolosa team members, including the project manager and lead architect. I also interviewed writers, academic experts, and urbanists from across the public and private sector. Currently, Tolosa only exists in promotion as a website, video, social media, and a series of renderings. The mission statement reads, to create a new city in America that sets a global standard for urban living, expands human potential, and becomes a blueprint for future generations. The website text goes on to explain their reason for building a new city by criticizing existing American cities. Among the claims are that urban areas today have unaffordable healthcare, government that doesn't put your needs first, and a lack of environmental regulation. But to me, it sounds more like political jargon than an analysis of urban issues. These are not exclusively urban problems. The idea for Tolosa comes from Mark Laurie, the entrepreneur known for e-commerce startups and for running online shopping at Walmart. In 2021 alone, Laurie started a food tech startup, founded a venture capital firm with the baseball star Alex Rodriguez, and bought 2 major league sports teams. So why would someone like this be interested in making a new city? Well, it turns out that Mark Laurie is pursuing a particular type of city building called unicorn planning. The term unicorn planning was developed by Dr. Sarah Moser. She's a professor of geography at McGill University and director of the New Cities Lab. The term describes an approach to planning a new city like a startup business. The word unicorn is borrowed from the world of venture capital for a startup company valued at $1 billion. Unicorn planning is characterized by technological optimism, high risk for high reward, and an expectation of instant success. Dr. Moser has identified 13 such cities worldwide, either built, under construction, or in the planning stage. These cities have been promoted as model smart cities of the future, embracing the involvement of tech companies at every stage of the process. Public and private partnerships are an important factor in making these cities. In fact, Dr. Moser's research found that the majority of new cities are run by CEOs, not mayors. The first unicorn planned city was Cyberjaya in Malaysia. It was built in 1997 on the site of a former palm plantation and was planned to be an intelligent cyber city. A more recent international example is Masdar City in Dubai, which was built in 2006 to be a hub for sustainable business and innovation. So far in North America, there have been 3 plans for unicorn cities, and Tolosa is the 4th. Douglas Ranch in Arizona is currently in the planning stage. Like Tolosa, it's planned to be a technologically advanced, sustainable development. Plans for Quayside in Toronto from Alphabet Sidewalk Lab were unsuccessful, canceled in 2020 because of large public opposition. Union Point, Massachusetts was proposed in 2017 to redevelop the site of an old Air Force base. It was never completed due to mismanagement and legal problems. In conversation with Dr. Moser, she noted that new cities built in North America is more difficult because we have a democratic system and strong land rights, unlike some of our global counterparts. Part of the evaluation for Tolosa involved understanding what actually goes into making a city. I'm evaluating the plans through a framework called Citymaking. The concept comes from urbanist, writer, and filmmaker Cassim Shepard. He describes city-making as involving more than design, politics, policy, and economics. It also includes articulated observation, artistic production, technological innovation, and civic activism. I take this to mean that city-making is a collaborative effort between often competing institutions, groups, and individuals. Across the country, cities bring together people of all walks of life to share culture and navigate difference. Typically, a city grows incrementally over time, and when new methods are tried out, it is through pilot programs of impermanent interventions. Taking the time to test before you build is best practice and common sense, but that's not what's happening in Tolosa. Slow collaborative effort is antithetical to the startup mentality of risk and speed. Though they don't even have a location yet, Tolosa plans to welcome the first 30,000 residents in 2030. That's less than 8 years away. So what happens if it doesn't go as planned, or the technology becomes obsolete, or if people don't like it? Mark Laurie has enlisted the Danish architecture firm Bjarke Ingels Group to design and illustrate Tolosa. The firm works from a philosophy called pragmatic utopianism, which seeks to combine innovative thinking with practical design programs. The purpose of the renderings is to tell a story of the place, to entice potential investors, government partners, and future residents. So what story of the city is being told in these images? Because there's no location yet, the landscape is made up. When I talked with the lead Tolosa architect at BIG, Alana Goldwhite, she explained that they created a test typography in which to situate the city. The image highlights the mix of urban and park areas, which speaks to the quality of life and sustainability goals. Transportation is also emphasized. They plan to have a system of electronic autonomous vehicles for road, air, and rail. On the ground level, it's a shared street model where there's no distinction between road and sidewalk. The buildings are timber construction with rooftop farms and solar panels. The people on the street are at leisure and not at work, indicating prosperity and well-being with few signs of discord or difference. Here, the building in the back is the Laurie Institute, which I'm told will be a center for innovation. On the right side, a virtual reality bubble. And on the left, an urban farming class. In the foreground, you see an autonomous vehicle library book delivery pod. There's a lot in these images, but what you can't see is the financial underpinning of the city. The website explains how Mark Laurie came up with the idea for Tolosa after reading the book Progress and Poverty by Henry George. It inspired the land endowment model for the city, which Laurie calls equitism. Progress and Poverty was one of the best-selling books of the 19th century. It's based on the premise that landowners benefit from technological and economic progress more than their working tenants, leading to a cycle of economic disparity. George proposed a single tax system where the increased value of land is taxed to fund government services, returning the economic benefit to the laborers who made it. Nowadays, we see this model in a community land trust and as part of institutional endowments. In fact, many community gardens in New York City are structured as land trusts. However, the Tolosa plan is that Mark Laurie and a group of philanthropists will purchase a tract of land and donate it to a foundation that will manage the endowment. As the city is built, the development activity will increase the land value, which in theory will create funds for social services to benefit city residents. Or as they call it, sort of capitalism reimagined. In my conversation with Tolosa team members, the emphasis of equitism has always been on generating wealth rather than the communal aspect. Equitism is advertised to be an equalizer, distributing resources to the community beyond what government normally provides. However, it sets up a pseudo-democratic dynamic between the endowment's board and the city's residents. There's precedent for the benefits of a land trust model, but it's typically a bottom-up initiative. In Tolosa's approach to equitism, I see a large potential for conflict between the financial priorities and what residents might want or need. It's also unclear at this point what the relationship to government will be. Tolosa approaches city making like a startup business. And though there are benefits to thinking differently about the future of the city and technology, I believe it should be approached democratically. What we need are many more ideas, because thinking about the future is inherently an optimistic act. As the human population continues to grow and our climate declines, it is essential that we explore big ideas while also being critical and discerning about the visions put forward. Thank you so much. I'm happy to talk more about this research. Please feel free to reach out and email me or DM me on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.